Annie Le was a promising young doctoral student at Yale University.
Born on July 3, 1985, in San Jose, California, Annie grew up in a close-knit Vietnamese-American family. Her parents emphasized the importance of education, and Annie excelled in her studies from a young age. Her drive and dedication were evident throughout her academic career, culminating in her pursuit of a PhD in pharmacology at Yale University.
On the morning of September 8, 2009, Annie Le entered the Yale Research Building located at 10 Amistad Street, where she was conducting her research. Surveillance cameras captured her entering the building at around 10 a.m. She was seen smiling and swiping her ID card to gain access.
This footage would be the last time Annie was seen alive.
As the day progressed, Annie's absence became concerning.
She had been in the middle of planning her wedding to Jonathan Widowski, a fellow graduate student at Columbia University.
The couple was scheduled to be married on September 13,
just a few days away. When Annie failed to return home that evening and could not be reached by phone, Jonathan reported her missing to the police.
Yale University and local law enforcement launched an extensive search for Annie.
The Yale Police Department, New Haven Police Department, and the FBI all became involved in the investigation.
The search was comprehensive,
involving detailed inspections of the research building, interviews with numerous individuals, and a review of surveillance footage.
Despite these efforts, no immediate clues were found regarding Annie's whereabouts.
The search continued for several days with increasing urgency and media attention.
Yale University issued statements urging the campus community to remain vigilant and cooperate with the investigation. Flyers with Annie's picture were distributed around the campus and the city,
and her family and friends made public pleas for information.
On September 13, 5 days after Annie disappeared, investigators made a grim discovery.
Her body was found hidden inside a wall in the basement of the research building. She had been strangled, and her body was concealed in a small, secure area behind a wall panel.
The discovery was made by a police dog trained to detect human remains.
The exact location where her body was found was a mechanical chase, a space housing utilities and pipes, typically not accessible to the general public.
The discovery of Annie's body turned the research building into a crime scene.
Authorities quickly intensified their investigation, focusing on identifying the perpetrator.
Forensic experts meticulously examined the area where her body was found, collecting evidence that would be crucial to solving the case.
Attention soon turned to Raymond Clark III, a lab technician who worked in the same building as Annie.
Clark was responsible for caring for the animals used in research experiments, and he had access to many areas within the building, including secure locations.
During the initial stages of the investigation, Clark's name came up as someone who had been in the building around the time Annie disappeared.
Clark had been observed on surveillance footage near the area where Annie's body was discovered. Moreover, his behavior during the days following Annie's disappearance had raised suspicions.
He was reported to have cleaned parts of the lab more thoroughly than usual and had been seen leaving the building with a large object covered with a lab coat.
Investigators obtained a warrant to search Clark's apartment and car.
They collected various items, including his personal computer and clothing, for forensic analysis. DNA evidence found at the crime scene linked Clark to the murder. His DNA was found on a bloody sock and on the inside of the wall where Annie's body was hidden.
This evidence provided a critical link between Clark and the crime. On September 17, 2009, Raymond Clark III was arrested and charged with the murder of Annie Le.
The arrest brought some relief to the Yale community, but also raised many questions about how such a crime could occur in a secure academic environment. The details of the case began to emerge as investigators pieced together the events leading up to Annie's death.
Clark had been described by colleagues as having a history of erratic and controlling behavior.
He was known to be meticulous about the cleanliness of the lab and had several disputes with colleagues over lab protocols.
Investigators theorized that Clark's motive for the murder was likely rooted in a confrontation with Annie over lab procedures or access to research areas.
The exact nature of their interaction on the day of the murder remained unclear, but it was evident that Clark had acted violently and with premeditation. As the investigation continued, more disturbing details about Clark's background and behavior came to light. He had a history of aggressive behavior and had been known to harass female colleagues. Despite these warning signs, there had been no formal complaints or actions taken against him prior to the murder.
In March 2011, Raymond Clark III pleaded guilty to the murder of Annie Le.
By accepting a plea deal, he avoided a trial and the possibility of the death penalty.
Instead,
he was sentenced to 44 years in prison without the possibility of parole. The plea deal was intended to bring some closure to Annie's family and spare them the trauma of a lengthy and public trial. The sentencing of Raymond Clark brought an end to the legal proceedings, but the impact of Annie's murder continued to be felt by her family, friends, and the Yale community.
The case highlighted the need for improved safety measures and awareness within academic institutions. Yale University implemented several changes to enhance security and support for its students and staff, including stricter access controls and increased surveillance in campus buildings. Annie Lee's murder was a tragedy that shook the Yale community and garnered widespread media attention. The loss of such a bright and promising young scientist was a stark reminder of the importance of vigilance and safety in all environments. The case also underscored the need for institutions to take proactive measures in addressing potential threats and ensuring the safety of their members. In the years following her death, Annie's family and friends have worked to honor her memory and continue her legacy. The Annie Lee Foundation was established to support women in science and advocate for campus safety. Through scholarships and grants, the foundation aims to inspire and support young women pursuing careers in scientific research, reflecting Annie's passion for education and her dedication to making a difference in the world. The murder of Annie Lee remains a deeply tragic and poignant story. Her life, filled with promise and potential, was cut short by an act of senseless violence. Yet, her memory endures through the positive changes inspired by her story and the ongoing efforts to support and protect future generations of students and researchers.
After Lee's disappearance, the university's police chief sought to reassure the Yale community. The concern reaches far beyond the New Haven campus.
Parents are calling in, checking, are you safe?